Can't hear you, Morten.
It was because I was muted, so there was a reason for it, right?
Absolutely.
I think actually that is one of the most used terms in the pandemic is you're muted, right?
Absolutely.
So Andy, welcome to the finishing line and Learn with Us, which is our educational kind of webinar live broadcast here on INKISH, and so great to see you. I must admit that last week when I spoke to you, I had a blast because I think first of all it was great to listen to your story, and for those who don't know you, you are from Müller Martini. But before we continue to talk, maybe give us a little introduction of yourself and your fantastic company, please.
Now, thank you for the opportunity to join you here today, Morten. INKISH TV is certainly a stalwart of the industry, and we've done a lot of great things with your organization and look forward to doing more in the future. As you mentioned, my name is Andy Fetherman. I'm the current president and CEO of Müller Martini North America. Been with Müller Martini 28 years in various roles. Started with a press division role when we used to make presses many years ago, and evolved that into a role around the turn of the century where helping Müller Martini analyze the book market and understanding where we needed to go with developments, which we're going to talk a lot about today during this interview, as well as Director of Digital Solutions role, a Vice President of Sales role for about 6 years, and then effective January 1, promoted into the presidency role here. Very, very proud about that and humbled by the opportunity. And it's a great company, family owned. It has that family feel, Morten, and one that I'm very proud to be a part of for a very long time.
I was just thinking, when you talk about the time you have spent with the company and now being promoted to be the CEO, can't help think about how nice it must be to have been in so many different roles, because now you have to manage people and you know basically their work and you know what obstacles, and you can probably identify the pain stakes and help people perform the best. Is that part of the journey?
No, absolutely. I mean, to me, one of my proudest moments is the fact that the team that we have here now really is one that I grew up with in this company. And, the longevity of Müller Martini, it must be a great company to work for because no one leaves. Everyone's here with tenures that are in excess of 18 years on average, 20 years on average, something like that. That's a wonderful thing, by the way. And these peers helped me be successful. I'm here in my role now because of them. They lifted me up. They allowed me the opportunity to fail and learn from the failure and to succeed, and then a company succeeding as a result. So no doubt the time spent here was well spent grooming myself for such a role and grooming this company to address the challenges that we're going to talk about a bit today.
I can't help think about how funny it is because often when I talk to industry leaders, I always what I like about this industry is often that we can be fierceful competitors in the market, but we can also be the best of friends when we meet. For those who don't know, Müller Martini come actually for this almost the same city as Hunkler. And
that's correct.
Yeah, and as you know, Hunkler has a 100 years anniversary this year, so I have actually been doing a little bit of research, and it seems that the relation with Müller and Hunkler goes way back actually. And I don't know if you know that, but Müller Martini actually produced both rifles and cars 100 years ago. Did you know that?
I did know that. The rifle thing, we try,
Okay, we keep it low.
It's not the thing we always brag about. A little bit. No, we're very proud about our heritage coming from cars. We still have one of the original cars in one of our facilities in Switzerland. That's correct. Wow. And I've actually driven in the car.
Wow.
Many years ago,
amazing.
about 15 years ago, the car was drivable. We took it out with a customer, and what a historical event being in this car driving through the city streets of Switzerland. It was quite a nice event. So
I can
our heritage, prior to graphic arts, was quite interesting for sure.
100%. Andy, I was just thinking, getting back to a little bit more our up-to-date thing here. The market in the US is so big. Is it also a big market for Müller Martini?
Oh, absolutely. With power comes a lot of responsibility, they say, right? No, Müller Martini North America is a big contributor to the success of Müller Martini Global, certainly, as are all of our regions, of course. But we do represent a large portion of the revenue intake and a large portion of the delivery of the equipment. It's been that way since the beginning, and certainly continues to be that way today. One of the driving factors is digital finishing. Digital really began here in North America, and really has a lot to do with the big players in digital or North American companies. So I think that had a lot to do with the success and the transition into digital finishing that we'll talk about today, and how we can help contribute to the success of Mueller Global.
And I think that one of the things that is, of course, great about Müller Martini is that, you have your legacy, of course, but you also have fantastic product understanding from both the high volume analog to now also being a very serious player in the digital market. And I take that you can learn from both, because even the analog world is today really looking to see how they can automate, how you can integrate IoT, faster setup times, and all those things. Is that something that you also involved in, or is that the Swiss side that is more on the product side?
The regions are very heavily involved in developments with the engineering team. There's a lot of input given and asked for from us, and that's been that way from the beginning of time at Müller Martini. You can't develop in a bubble. You have to get the feedback from the market. The market organizations like North America, we have the hand-to-hand touching with our customers that allow us to pull in the data that we need and the solutions they require to help develop it. Very proud to say, we retain a lot of our earnings in development. Rudy Mueller and Bruno Mueller have very proud of the fact that we constantly reinvest in development. And I would say 90+% of our development's around digital finishing now.
Yeah.
That's a far departure from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And, a good portion of our revenue, I'm not sure if it's 40, 50, 60%, depends on the time, the day, and the month, but comes from digital finishing solutions.
Really? Okay. So that is really taking on for Müller Martini.
Absolutely. We certainly still have automation built into our offset solutions. We've had a very good run with high-speed perfect binders, for example, for the offset world, because as you know, the book world is enjoying a resurgence over the COVID times and continues to enjoy really good activity. And as a result of that, there's been a reinvestment into even the higher speed binders, which we did continue to evolve the technology and develop new solutions, improve solutions for those markets also.
And I can't help think about, because as we spoke about the other day, that we have visited numerous customers that are using Müller Martini equipment. Of course, we did a film way before we got to know you guys from Schätzl Print-Emotion in Europe. And we have, as you know, and we spoke about before, from Linemark also in Maryland in the US. And every time you come out and see customers using Müller Martini, first of all, you recognize the color, of course, so you clearly see that it's Müller Martini. Yeah, that's kind of blue anyway. But you see also smiling faces, both among the operators and also from the owners, because I think it is, I was just about to say it's lean money machines, right? Because if you look at the books of one, it seems to be a really well-established productivity machine that I think Linemark is a brilliant example. And as I promised you, I will, just after the webinar ends, I think I will post it on LinkedIn again, because it is a great story under all circumstances. Before we see the presentation, I have a few more questions, if okay with you. One thing I spoke to actually yesterday, we had Horizon directly live from Japan along here. And I think that you think of them as a worthy competitor, but I'm not asking you about this. But what I'm asking you is, when they show the level of automation that is now going into binding in general, not specific to any machines or any product, I was just wondering, is this like demand from the market at current time, or are you also trying to drive the market into to the higher level of automation to gain market shares, to also face some of the problems about employment and all these things? Or how do you see that correlation in that relationship?
It's more about addressing the needs of the market. Like we said earlier, we try to drive the needs to the engineering teams in Switzerland and Germany. And then the labor pool is globally, but in particular in North America, very, very, very challenging. And, I'm going to use an expression often during the presentation upcoming, that we design solutions that help you manufacture more books per square meter and labor hour. So basically in the same footprint with the same or less people, you can have more net books per hour. And that's a very important statement. And the Limar case is a perfect example of that. And so we are driving automation. We are driving touchless workflow. It's another expression you're going to hear us talk about when we talk about our Finishing 4.0 ideology, where these are core pundits of what we do in our solutions now, because the market absolutely needs it now to address the challenges they have.
When you talk about more books per whatever measures you do, is that also because maybe there's a tendency sometimes for PSPs to look too much into the acquisition cost instead of just looking at the output, or why is that important to understand?
It's important to understand because at some point, a lot of our customers have been buying a machine and hiring another body, and a machine hiring another body. At some point, you just don't have the floor space anymore because you're confined in an island.
Too many,
and you can't get the labor.
Yeah.
So what we can do is do a 2 to 3 to 5 to 1 replacement of other machines with new technology. And yeah, 5 to 1 is legitimate. There's examples of that.
Really?
Where you can put in one machine which has 30% the footprint of the 5 machines you're replacing, and 1/5 the labor requirement. And that's critical for the labor challenges we have. Plus,
100%.
everything's about ROI. It's not about initial investment, it's about TCO and ROI of the investment. And you have to have that automation and those capabilities to justify that ROI and realize that maybe we're not the lowest cost investment day one, but over time we're the best investment. And that's what we do with our solutions for sure. And that's where we win a lot of our opportunities.
I know that you can, of course, not go into details about anything that is product related to the future, but I was just thinking, if we look at general terms, do you think that the speed, the quality, the higher level of automation will just be faster and smarter, even in a 5-10 years period, or is it other things that are more important to the PSPs?
No question, automation will get smarter, workflow will get smarter, it'll get more touchless, there'll be more automation to address the continued challenge. I don't believe labor challenges are going to go away. I believe the labor pool that's coming in is not conducive to working in printing plants as much as historically it was. So you're going to see a lot more about that. Speed is relative. Higher speeds, gross speeds aren't as important as net speeds and
That's
net
true.
throughputs. So to us, net throughputs and net speeds are better through automation and touchless workflow. And like I said, more books per square meter and labor hour to allow you to have more net production in a smaller footprint with less people.
Well, I would like to see what you have prepared, and then we can still talk afterwards. So if you bring up your presentations and take it away from here, Andy, I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Thank you, Morten.
You're not done yet, I tell you, my friend.
No, and I want to let everyone know that I'm proud to be interviewing a good friend of mine and a colleague of a very, very smart printing company here in North America, Adi Chinai from King Printing.
So
please hang on for that.
When will he join us?
As soon as I'm done, I'm going to send him a quick text. He's already ready to hit join. So I set him up this morning, okay?
Okay, let's start with the presentation and then bring him on.
Absolutely.
Just tell me when you're ready.
I'm here. Can you see everything okay?
You can see, and I can see you as well. So I will just mute myself, and I will now listen to what you say.
Thank you, Morten. Thank you, everyone. I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about our ideology, our portfolio, and then give an example of a great project we had. It's anonymous, but it is a real project that shows how our solutions provide a great opportunity to automate and get more production out of your lines with less people and less footprint. So it's called the Optimizing Digital Book Production Challenge. We're going to talk about our Smart Factory Finishing 4.0 ideology, then roll into our digital solutions portfolio, go into the challenge, and then talk about how it creates more books per square meter and labor hour, which is the basis of a good ROI in TCO. Smart Factory, Finishing 4.0. We're very proud we trademarked the expression Finishing 4.0 here at Müller Martini. It is really the ideology we use for everything we do. It starts with automation, and not just automating by putting a motor on a spindle on an old piece of equipment. It's about automating the technology from the ground up to address and using connectivity to drive that automation. And connectivity is not just connecting physically things together. It's connecting things through XML feeds to and from the technology to drive the data to and get how well you did coming back. It's about barcode-driven workflow, where barcodes drive the technology to set up automatically to address the variability that's inherent in the market. The third pillar, it's easy to print things variably through different bins on a cut sheet digital printer, but to finish that variability can be challenging. But we really meet that challenge with our fourth pillar, touchless workflow. And touchless workflow is driving the automation. So it's kind of using those barcodes to drive the automation with touchless workflow and using those XML feeds to drive data to the technology through touchless workflow. So that ideology is the basis of our digital solutions portfolio, which I'm going to outline here for you now. This is a bit of an eye chart, but let's break it down into sections. We certainly have partners and some of our own solutions for cut sheet and roll fed delivery into our perfect binders and saddle stitching solutions. So that is the red box here, where we have different people that help us feed rolls and cut sheet products into our finishing solutions. Then we have a saddle stitching portfolio where we have the ability to take those cut sheet digital products or those roll fed digital products and finish them into a completely finished saddle stitch product. We also have hardcover and soft cover solutions where you can do perfect bound or case bound products. And this is the blue box, is the box that we're going to highlight in this product, in this optimized challenge today, where we're going to give an example of where we took this complete portfolio, honed it down to solutions that fit well into this customer's needs, and came up with a great solution. So let's dig into that a bit further now. Let's start with a quote. The customer came to us with this challenge, and it was back in 2021. Getting enough labor for and consistent quality with our hand-fed machines, as well as fragmented processes that are completely disconnected, are our biggest challenges. We need Müller Martini's help to increase the overall productivity of our systems by reducing our labor requirements and intelligently connecting all of our processes together. That was a big challenge. It was like what I call a whiteboard challenge. So we took a whiteboard approach and said, how do we figure this out? So we came up with our portfolio here. We said, okay, let's start with our portfolio, Mr. Customer. We have our compact solutions. We have digital saddle stitching. We have perfect binding and hardcover solutions for what we deem the compact or entry-level sector of digital solutions. We looked at our mid-range, which for this application really was not the right fit. It was a little bit high-end for what they needed. And then we have our roll-fed finishing solutions, our Sigma line, from a 20-inch to a 42-inch solution, which also wasn't a fit here because they had a multitude of cut sheet and roll-fed solutions that were in nearline mode. So when we were done, we came through with our end-sheet tipper, our Vario Pro, our Infinitrim, and our EMP 513. And on top of all of that, the umbrella was our Connex workflow solution. So that was kind of what we came through as the right solutions very early on in our analysis. But then we had to dig a little deeper. So we said, okay, what's the whiteboard challenge? What are the things you're looking for, Mr. Customer? Well, let's start with the cost and inventory of combined end sheets. It's eating us alive. That's his quote. They needed a traditional tipper and eliminate the cost of combined end sheet inventory. Let's see how we did that. Minimize the processing of labor requirements. They can't find people. That's everywhere around the world, and certainly in North America, a big problem. So that we had a fully integrated solution, so they weren't handling WIP as much. Casing in production for more consistent product quality and automating it. Consecutive production of soft and hardcover books. That's a cool feature that I'll show you we have available. Increase overall bindery productivity. More books per square foot or meter in the case of European product customers, and labor hour. Optimizing changeover. Implementing seamless barcode-driven production. That's our the cornerstone of our Finishing 4.0 ideology I just talked about a couple minutes ago. And they were missing intelligent system connectivity. I can't keep track of things, was their quote. Validating their content to cover match, touchless automation for book of one production, and end-of-line sortation after the trimmer, having products going different ways so there's better post-trimmer handling. That was the challenge. So how did we address that challenge? Let's go into that a bit more. Traditional tipper. We developed an end sheet tipper that comes from the commercial world. It's a true end sheet tipper, and one of the adages we say we bring commercial quality finishing to the digital market. This is the perfect example of that. It has a hangout adjustment. It allows you to drop a book block in the in-feed you see here, and it automatically tips an end sheet to the book block and delivers that end sheet directly into the perfect binder to have no handling once you drop the book block in. Then we have a mull station. Combined end sheets are very costly, and the inventory handling is very, very challenging. So we have a true parallel mull station. It's perpendicular to the line, thickness variable on the fly, and it allows you to apply a mull paper to the book block like you do in our high-end perfect binding technologies. And that eliminates the need for combined end sheets because you're making the end sheets by tipping on the end sheets and adding the mold paper as you're perfect binding the product. So that's a huge win for saving costs and streamlining production of hardcover books in a digital space. A fully integrated perfect binding and trimming solution. And we came up with this one that you see on the screen here. This is actually a picture of the line at the customer. It starts with our end sheet tipper we talked about just a minute ago. We use an elevator and robots to deliver it into the in-feed of the VarioPro Perfect Binder that drops the book block automatically into the clamp. You can see the mull station on the side of the binder. And then one of the things we're going to talk about in a bit is scan and print device. Let's get to that in a little bit because we need that to automate the downstream casing in processes. And then into our Infinitrim 3-knife trimmer that is a 2000 fully variable length, width, and thickness trimmer. So no matter what comes in there, no matter what length, width, or thickness, it'll trim it on the fly with zero make ready. Very, very proud of the development of that solution. So then the other part, that's not a finished book when you're doing hardcover. So we had to have an automated casing inline for more consistent production. They were using a much more manual process, much more smaller devices, which were good for them over time, but there was too many people and it was inconsistent quality between each operator. We were able to take away all of that with this one single casing inline, so the product quality book to book was equal. And the automation we're going to talk about in a little bit, how we drive that with touchless workflow in just a few. So this is a video. I'm going to turn off the sound. I'm going to talk through it quickly. So just to walk through it, this shows you running hardcover and softcover books back to back. So what do we mean by that? With the barcode, the one book is a softcover book where it actually pulls a cover out of the cover feeder. The next book can be a hardcover book where we use the mull station, and it's all driven by that data matrix code that's on the barcode on the book. So what you're going to see here is, as you watch it walk through, I'm going to go ahead here for interest of time. You're going to see the books entering the binder. You can see we're tipping in the end sheets, coming up the elevator, and then the books coming out. The first one here is a softcover book, and right behind it, the next with no touchless workflow is a hardcover book. You can see the end sheets and the mull paper. The barcode said to the end sheet tipper, tip on an end sheet or not, and it said to the perfect binder, apply the mull or not, and then it said, or apply the cover or a mull paper to the book block. Seamlessly book to book. And then you can see the inline sortation we'll talk about a bit later, where all the perfect bound books went to straight out and all the hardcover books went to the left, also driven by that same barcode. Very proud of that new feature that we have to our VarioPro and Infinitrim technology. And then the Infinitrim. What can I say? It's our robot trimmer, probably one of the best technologies we've designed in the history of Müller Martini. You can see an A6, an A5, and an A4 coming in of all different thicknesses. And it just does not matter. It reads the barcode and automatically trims that book to the format and automatically adjusts to the thicknesses on the fly. And when you're doing true book of one or even book of many, but you have changeovers between 50, 100 count books, and you want that changeover to be seamless because you have an inline binder inline to the Infinitrim like we showed before, you have no problem finishing this automatically and creating commercial quality trim book, because the way we press the books is like we do on a pile trimmer. The way we handle the waste drops right down because we're trimming vertically right into the waste chute, so you have no problem with waste removal out of the trimmer. And the swing cut into a cutting stick design patented design we have is built into this technology. So you have the high quality trim books, book to book, from a 4x4 1mm book to a 13x14 65mm book, back to back with no make ready. Great solution to optimize changeover between formats to increase productivity. But now we made a book, we made a hardcover book block that's trimmed, but now we just trimmed off the barcode. Oh no, well, before we trimmed off the barcode, because that's our connectivity license plate, as I call it, that drives the hardcover production, we have a scan and print device that reads the book block coming in, reads the barcode, and it automatically puts the barcode on the end sheet. That allows you to, and then reads the barcode to make sure it matches the barcode you had just about to trim off and validates it. So before we trim the barcode off the trim area that we use to trim and use the cover match on the book block for the Vario, we reprint the barcode on the end sheet. And then we use that barcode through touchless automation to set up the casing inline, the EMP 513. It reads the barcode and automatically pulls a template into the casing inline for that book block through Connex. A touchless workflow driving the XML data to the EMP and setting it up so there's no manual make ready by the downstream operator of the casing inline. We also used it for validating the cover and contact match for every book. That was critical in the Vario, but also barcode the book block to the case in the EMP. So all of this is done touchless. It's done with the barcode-driven connectivity. That's a big part of our Finishing 4.0 ideology. And then end-of-line sortation. I'll run this video also. You can see here, hold on, let me shut that off. You can see here we have, again, the soft cover books going straight out, hardcover books going to the left. And it's not just a 2-lane technology. We're going to have the ability in the future to do multiple lanes to allow for much more intelligent sorting of books after you have this intelligent ability to produce books back to back on the Vario line that we showed before. So again, automation that allows for much better handling of products throughout the whole process. And here's an overhead view of a couple of Varios feeding an Infinitrim, and then the different outputs you can have with those Varios. One last thing they ask about is they can't keep track of things. So our Connex workflow was a huge help in that. They were able to optimize the jobs up front to optimize them for the best production capabilities going forward. That's the XML feed down to the technology. But also when they're done, how did they do? So you have Connex info coming back, and that allows you to know every job, every operator, every machine, how it did. It has a dashboard, a production dashboard that you can look at and parse the data. It has the ability to give you access to a database where you can use any type of your own data planning software to parse the data. But it gives a full highlight of everything that we talked about, the barcodes that we impose into the product, the line control feeds down to the Vario and Infinitrim, down to the EMP to allow it to set up more actively, and then taking the data back per job, per operator, per shift, per machine to allow them to parse and see how they did was a huge part of keeping track of the production that's now more seamless and more touchless, and making sure that they're doing a good job with the products on a consistent long-term basis. What's the result? The result is more books per labor hour and square foot or meter. The old process, there was a lot of separate production areas for trimming the book blocks. A lot of end sheet collation, combined end sheets, printing false covers, tearing off the false covers for hardcover books, expensive non-traditional end sheet materials, combined or tabbed end sheets, a lot of inventory handling, labor-intensive slow process, front and back end sheet collation, tearing off the false cover to expose the end sheets, time, material, and waste, which start up and shut down of PUR with the roller pots. We have a nozzle-based system that does not have that time waste and material waste because there's almost no waste and there's very little time for starting up a nozzle-based PUR system, as another example. And just fragmented processes, fragmented casing in, fragmented binding and trimming. So they've created a lot of high scrap waste due to multiple touch points. What's the result? A single integrated production system from book block in, product trimmed out, and then touchless workflow for driving the casing in process. In inexpensive end sheets, normal 4-page end sheets and normal mull paper on a roll. No more high cost products, raw materials and inventorying of raw materials. Lower unit costs as a result, higher, more productive, more consistent finishing because you're having a single system and one casing in line rather than multiple cells for casing in with different people with different quality. Much less time and material waste associated with everything that we just talked about here today. And most importantly, faster throughput for this customer, new record daily production numbers with less people in the same footprint. Therefore, more books per labor hour and square foot or meter. Very proud of the result of that. And just a reminder to all, our smart factoring finishing 4.0 ideology, true automation that is connected together through barcodes and XML feeds to and from the technology to address the variability inherent in our new digital book production world, and using touchless workflow to drive the automation through connectivity to address the variability that's inherent in the digital book production space. Thank you for your attention, and that is the challenge I thought was important to show here today, highlighting our portfolio and a great example of how it was pulled together to a North American customer. Back to you, Martin.
I think I'm breathless. So can you just speak for another hour? Then I will be dead because I can't get any oxygen. So seriously, as I said to you before we saw the presentation, when you see the Müller Martini products at work, you really see the productivity and the gains that you talk about here. But what I like about your presentation is also the fact that you get it's not just like one-off products that happens to work. It seems to be like a larger ecosystem that, for example, I didn't know that you could use the Vario trimmer for more of the glue binding machine. So that is like an option where you can take advantage of this modularity that you offer. So really cool presentation. So thank you very much. We should call your friend now. I can't remember his
Absolutely.
name. What was his name?
Adi Chinai.
Orange?
I'm just going to type ready for him.
Okay.
It's Adi Aditya Chinai. He is the president and owner of King Printing up in Lowell, Massachusetts. But I'll allow him to introduce himself in more detail. Mm-hmm. But I just texted him. He should be joining any minute. Adi and I have been friends and colleagues and partners for many, many years. And I thought it would be a nice, interesting twist to the interview process for
100%.
You and I to interview Adi.
Adi is coming in now, so I will just add him here to the right. Let's see if we can get him in here. Just a second here. We have him here. Hello, Adi.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Adi.
Good morning, Andy. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you, gentlemen?
We're having fun, I think.
Fun is great.
I hope so.
I'll just see if I can make you a little bit tinier because you're so close to the webcam. Can you move a little bit away from the cam? And then center a little bit. Oh yeah, much better. Now we can. Now
perfect.
At least we're not giants, all of us, right? So Adi, Andy just said that you run a printing company in Massachusetts. I can't say that word. My colleagues, if they're watching this, they will laugh at me. I can't say that state. Tell it yourself.
Outside of Boston, how about that?
Oh yeah, outside of Boston. That's a good term.
Easier that way. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we're a digital book manufacturer, just a little bit outside of Boston, and we've been in business since 1978.
Whoa. Okay, so you have some history now, right?
Correct. Yes.
And I take you didn't start in digital, right? Or did you start already at that time?
We started in offset, Morten, but we quickly migrated into digital. So we were into digital print since 1988, 89.
Fantastic. And just before, I know that that Andy, he wants to talk to you about your equipment. I want to understand a little bit about the market. How big is your company, and is it only books you do, or what kind of business are you in?
100% books, and we're about 120 employees.
Nice.
And we operate around the clock, 24/7.
You look fresh, so but maybe it's not too early this morning then. So Andy, how did you get to know Adi?
Just through the industry, when I started to do the digital solutions development through the early 2000s, Adi being and King Printing being a very early adopter, one of the first early adopters of digital finishing. He was one of the ones I called on quite early and mentored under him to understand, because I knew nothing at the time, and became a good student of Adi and his father Sid. They were great people. They put me under their wing. They taught me a lot of what I know today. Thank you, Adi, for that. And through time, our solutions were evolved, and we looked at their feedback, as we talked earlier, of how we engineer solutions that fit the needs of the digital market. King Printing was a big part of that, and still continue today to be a big part of helping us look at the future. We're developing new technologies always, and they're a big part of it, not just helping us develop, but helping us test it. They've been beta test site for our technology several times, Adi, correct? And we're very excited to have them, and he's been a good partner and a good friend to me in helping me be successful in this industry. So again, thank you, Adi, for that.
Great story. Adi, I can't help think about, because I asked Andy before he did his presentation, whether when you look at automation, and I take that you, of course, appreciate the more automated you can get, both because of the labor shortage, but also because you can increase your productivity. But I was thinking, from your perspective, being close to a manufacturer like Müller Martini, do you think that you have influence in driving the technology, or you more utilize it when you become a beta tester?
I would feel remiss if I didn't say that we believe to be a catalyst for the industry with the change into digital. Early adopter of many of the technologies, pushing it to its limits and sometimes beyond, and
yes, sir.
kept us fresh.
Andy has his button on support. I can see that.
It's good. It's good.
And it's a partnership. I think it's sometimes an overused word, but it's true in this situation that King Printing and Müller Martini have a very deep, long history and partnership together, and that's allowed us to take digital and adopt early and catalyze it into the industry.
And are you both cut sheet and web-based, or can you tell a little bit about what kind of printing devices and technologies do you use?
We've had the fortune of seeing it all at some level. So, early days, we started with the single color duplicators, and then
so that was like this one.
yeah, one of those. Yeah, exactly. Before my time in the business, but then we went to sheet fed offset, then web offset, and then eventually digital sheet fed, then digital web. So we've had the fortune to kind of see it all, touch it all, and find what fits us best. So today we live in the digital web space for the most part.
And the way you do your binding, is that online solutions or nearline solutions?
That's a deep philosophical debate that I think Andy and I will go round and round and round about forever.
So what is it today? Is it both or
combination of everything, right, Adi?
That's right. It's what fits you best, what fits you and your market and your product best. So some people do well with nearline, some people do well with full inline, and it just really depends on what you're making at the end of the day.
So is it application based more than anything else? I mean, I take that being a digital. I've been visiting quite a few North American digital book printers, and when I look at the production, very different. Some are into very special books that are they have a certain level of automation before they are bound, but then they have a lot of like line mark, as you spoke about. They have like a hand spray, so you can get your books delivered with a certain scent. So I take that like make it fully automated, then your entire printing company will smell of vanilla and cinnamon. So that is maybe not the best combo. But I was just thinking that if you have a lot of runs of the same title, of course it makes a lot of sense to do it online. But is it really down to the quantity of each run, even it's in digital, or where do you see the difference in when to use either solution?
I have my opinion, and I think Andy might be the better judge on how to apply that. But just my 2 cents on it, it really depends on what you're making and how you're going to make it every day. So I call it the can of Coke mentality. Mm-hmm. If you're making cans of Coke, you can automate it down to the final mile.
Yeah, fantastic. So what is your Andy? What do you think?
No, I think you nailed it on the head, Adi. The best practice, as I call it, not my practice or anyone's particular practice, is it depends on the processes. I think if anything, there's more of a trend towards inline more because labor challenges. People are thinking of putting more things inline that maybe in the past they didn't. But the example I just did, you can't put casing inline, obviously. That's an offline process. And in the case of combining in-sheet tipping, Vario, and Finitrim into a digital cell, that's a new inline process that gets a lot of productivity gains. And you can even, some people are putting that in line with the press, but based upon specific applications, mostly straight, perfect binding, a little bit longer runs, not the shorter book of one. So it's really, you have to look at as I did the whiteboard analysis, I talked about that. You have to do a whiteboard with every customer and say, Mr. Customer, what's your challenges? And then look at the portfolio we have and say, what makes sense, nearline, inline, some near, some in, touchless workflow through barcode-driven setups, et cetera, et cetera. So it's everything. And you have to analyze every customer separately. There's no way to do it otherwise. So.
Adi, I was just thinking, because as you said, you were like sometimes pushing the equipment beyond its standards. I was just wondering, is that how you also identify your bottlenecks and your needs in the future demands for binding equipment?
100%, Morten. We strive to be the most mission capable digital book manufacturer in the nation. That's our mission.
That's a good one.
If we don't push the limits, we're just going to be like everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, the reason I was asking, I was just a bit curious whether it's because if you, let's say that last week I was in a printing company in Chicago, and not in the book space, so not competitive. But he was basically saying to me that they have a Canon Pro Stream, and he basically said with the Canon Pro Stream there is some papers that are certified for it. But because of the paper supply shortage as well, sometimes they simply have to put paper through the machine that is not really made for. And sometimes it's like, okay, then we have to slow the machine a little bit down. But he said, we can't because we have too much work. So and then sometimes it's, there's like, sometimes when you pushes the limits in what technology is meant for, you learn what is important. It can be from substrates, it can be from specifications, it could be from the inks sticking to the paper. It could be basically anything. So I was just a bit curious about what kind of things where do you push the envelope, so to speak?
Through the whole supply chain and value chains, and the front end on press, where we finish with Mueller, where we then take books into our bindery, where we finish with Mueller and Colbus technology. And when you see those bottlenecks, you're absolutely right. You say, okay, what's been limiting me? What's my next solution? Right, and then that's where the partnership is valuable, because then you can give the feedback and say, look, here's my bottleneck. What are you going to work on with us to find a solution? So that's the only way to learn. You're right.
Yeah. So all the new machines that Mueller is bringing, there is a King Print finger stamp on all the machines.
Yes.
A
little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. I think
without question. more than a little bit, he's being humble. I think what Adi and Sid have done and continue to do, as recent as just months ago and weeks ago and days ago, is to allow us to sense check some of the concepts that we have, some of the technologies that we're coming forth with, and ultimately, potentially even going forward again, be a site where we can test it out. First site in North America, for example. Sometimes not always the first site, because they like to have places close to the factory for the very first one, an hour away at a client, right, near Germany or Switzerland, But certainly the first post local installation is often King Printing to be a top candidate for it.
See, Adi, I think you should buy more machines from Andy, because then it will eventually make sure that Müller Martini moves the factory to your place just outside Boston. So you will be the first one, right? I'm sure that will never happen, right? Because the Swiss are very proud of Switzerland, of course, and it's a really nice place. So yes. That will probably not happen. So, Andy, anything else we should talk to Andy about? I mean, you know him. So, any secrets we can get out of him? You think?
I know Adi, the answer is definitely not. He's a secret keeper extraordinaire. Very proud of that. No, I just thought it'd be, friends chatting here a bit, Morten. I thought Adi and I, what's Müller Martini meant to you, Adi? I mean, I think it's important here to, I just spent the last 30, 40 minutes talking about our Finishing 4.0 ideology, talking about our portfolio that we've very proudly developed over the last 20 years for digital finishing portfolio. Maybe a few words of how that portfolio is meant to you, how working with Mueller has been to you. And, it's a very important message for the group here, for Müller Martini, to hear from you how our partnership has blossomed and what it's meant to you. That's my most important question.
Good one.
Do we have enough time on this session?
We have. Basically,
we can go long. It's easy.
Yeah. We can. You can take a few hours if you like. I'm not sure that we can keep people's attention, but we can try at least, right?
I'll make it to the point. It's a true partnership that blossomed very early on. So as we drove digital with Müller Martini, and as that became the predominant product line for Müller Martini, we've had great success in that ability to work hand in hand with the development to see the success that we can gain from the technology. But also, it's that after sales support that goes the extra mile. So as technology develops and as other partners bring attention to Müller Martini, they bring that back to us and to other people that have invested in the equipment. So it is continued to be scalable, continue to make your investment worthwhile. You're not just one and done. And that's been very valuable to us as we continue to look to the future.
That must be very nice for you, Andy, to have that kind of testimonial from a customer, because I think that if it's a good partnership, and both of you said that it was like a true partnership, then it's a two-way street, right? Basically means that when you need something from each other, you know that you can trust and build upon that relationship, right? That's a nice story.
Yeah, and the kind words about the after-sales support, Adi, that's a great point. We're very proud of the dozens of service engineers that we have dedicated to North American customers in every discipline, and a lot of cross-training for multiple discipline individuals to allow for coverage across everything from a 40-year-old norm binder to a brand new Vario Infinitrim Sigma line technology. So to us, very proud of that, and the fact that it's one of the key components of our partnership, Adi, that's great to hear.
Fantastic, gentlemen. I think we should say thank you to you, Adi. Appreciate your time here on our Learn With Us finishing line. Totally cool to meet you. Maybe we see each other at some trade show one day. Who knows? Could be fun.
I hope so. Thank you very much, and keep up the great work with INKISH. We love it.
Oh, you see our channel? Then I love you even more. Thank you, sir. So, thank you. I will just, you can just leave now.
Well, Adi, good friend. Thank you for joining. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. This is how I usually end things with me.
That's it. Fade to black.
Fade to black. Okay, and now it's just you and me again.
Sure.
Andy, great technology, great service, great visions for the future. Really great talking to you as well. I think you're a very good representative for Müller Martini. So good choice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking that C-level in a webinar. That's not so often that happens. That's great. But it was, you know your things, and it's been really good talking to you. Anything that we miss? I mean, you have reached out to with some contact details in the presentation if they want to get in touch with you. And Müller Martini is of course well known, but you will be at. Will you be at Printing United?
Yes, we have a booth at Printing United. We'll be showing a digital saddle stitcher. Very proud about that in our booth, as well as a large video wall that can show the rest of our portfolio in detail. Bruno Mueller will be attending the show, so excited about that. So we'll be there for the entirety of the show, and look forward to many people coming to the Müller Martini booth. I apologize, don't know the booth number, but I'm sure you'll find us. We're in the middle of the middle of all the big names in the digital book manufacturing and offset industries.
Yeah, you are a big name anyway, so probably people will know you and find you anyway, right? So
very kind of me to say that. Thank you.
No, I mean that. And basically, I hope I will have time to stop by at your booth at Printing. We have a very deep program, so it depends a little bit on the timing. But I can tell that for the audience and also for you that we are planning 4 topics as part of our coverage of Printing United. We have workflow automation as a starting point in the morning. Then we have printing both in digital and analog in the midday, and then we have finishing in the afternoon, and then we have embellishment the 2 first days where we're looking at some of the wonderful print samples that you can see and make with all the fantastic glitter and gold and all those kind of things. So, but Andy, once again, I also look forward to meet you in person. I don't think we have met in person, and I look very much forward to
lots
that.
of this.
Yeah.
And please, if you have a finishing section, you'll be remiss not coming to the Müller Martini booth. So I personally welcome you to be there.
Let me talk to Adrian about that. Then it will become his decision, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for the audience. That was the last session of today. Tomorrow we have label finishing. We have a quite interesting program. We have Graphotronic in the morning. We have ABG, and we have also GM. Talking about label finishing tomorrow. So that's entirely different from today, but still it will probably and hopefully be very fun. So again, one more time, thank you Andy and Müller Martini for always being so supportive to what we do at INKISH. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice day. Bye.